This is the Ice Barrel 500, the largest and most insulated cold plunge in their lineup. And I've had an Ice Barrel for a few years now, since the OG 400. And with this one, they've made some significant improvements that makes it easier, safer, and less of a hassle to cold plunge. After watching this video, if you do decide to get one for yourself, you can use discount code Mike to save some additional money. So the biggest difference that you're gonna notice is the built-in staircase. They're textured so there's less chance of slipping, and they go up higher. So if you don't have the most mobility or you're a little bit older, you're not gonna have to worry as much about hoisting yourself in and holding all of your body weight. Plus, they're not gonna fall over because they're actually attached like the 400 series, which at times can feel a little bit wobbly and maybe not the safest thing in the world. When you step into the cold plunge, you're first gonna step on the internal seat and then you're going to sit down. So also making it simpler to get in. But this is where taller people are really gonna hate this internal step. On the Ice Barrel website, they say that someone up to 6'9" can actually comfortably cold plunge within the Ice Barrel 500. I don't know how true that is, honestly, because if you go on Reddit, everyone above 6'3" is complaining about the internal seats, because when you actually sit down on it and you're that height, the water really goes up to this part and you can't even really submerge your shoulders, which is very problematic. There is a bit of a solution here. If you just turn yourself around and put your butt where your feet is supposed to be, you can get the water all the way up to like around your neck level. And a lot of taller folk really just wish that the internal seat didn't exist. Again, if we think about the Ice Barrel 400, that's one of the best models for you to be able to get as deep as you want, regardless really of your size. You can be ginormous and you can squat as deep as you want. Personally, I feel like if they just insulated the Ice Barrel 400, that would be like one of the best cold plunges to ever exist. I feel like the style is so nice, and if you can get into it, oh, it's great. But again, it's not insulated. And you can either head dunk by actually leaning forward or kind of like shimmying yourself into the area where you'd put your feet and then like trying to push yourself under. The next biggest upgrade is they insulated the hell out of this cold plunge, and it's now the most insulated cold plunge in their entire lineup. The 300 is also insulated. Sadly, again, the 400 is not, but again, it's gonna have even better performance than that one. For this insulation, they're using a polyurethane foam that actually is in the tub and the lid itself. That means if you do end up going the ice route, you're gonna have to fill it up less often. When I've checked on the cold plunge Reddit, I've seen a few people mentioning that even at hotter temperatures, they're able to sustain quite cold temperatures just using ice every few days. Don't get me wrong, it's not gonna be 35 Fahrenheit, but it's still gonna be pretty good. And that also means when you do end up getting a chiller, everything's gonna run more efficient, and maybe you just have to run it for a few hours in the middle of the night and it's gonna hold your water for the rest of the day. When it comes to the build and the durability, all these barrels are built right in the USA from recycled plastic, and this stuff literally feels like it was built to last. It feels bomb-proof. It's so freaking hard, and it's heavy as hell. It literally, when it's empty, it's 104 pounds. It's shocking. Like, you might need 2 people to move this around. And when it's filled up, it's all the way up to 900 pounds. So when you do decide to fill it up, make sure it's in the right spot. Otherwise, it's not going anywhere. And a nice thing about the 500 and also the 300 is that they're already chiller ready. Like with the 400, there is a kit that you can buy to kind of modify it to make sure it is chill ready, but it just means there's less hassle and that you can get a Ice Barrel chiller or a chiller from a different company and set it up and be able to upgrade it in the future or right away if you want. The setup is pretty simple. You basically just take it out of the box, move it over to the area that you want. There's gonna be a spigot and also a cap for the in and out points if you're not using a chiller. Just make sure to screw those in. Don't do it too tight though, please. And if you are going to have it inside, you can use plumber's tape to actually thread those spigot and that cap to make sure that there's no leaks. And also one thing that I didn't realize until recently, but if you do have a garden hose that has a thread on the end that you can screw into something, you can actually screw it onto the bottom spigot and then just fill it from the bottom up, rather than needing to put the hose into it and then potentially risk the pressure of the water making the hose fly out of it and then squirt water everywhere. I've had that happen. Yeah, you're chasing after a hose and it's not really fun. You can also, when you're filling it up, you can just put the lid on top of it to make sure the garden hose is not like flying everywhere. And because the Ice Barrel 500 doesn't have a max fill line, and I don't really like when the water overflows, especially if you put ice in, just basically wasting a ton of money. What you can do is when you're filling it up, you can actually set it to a lower level and then get into the cold plunge and see where kind of the max goes to. and then just progressively kind of keep doing that until you get to a nice sweet spot that you feel good with. And you can just, again, take some plumber's tape or whatever waterproof tape you want and kind of just set a marker for yourself. And when you're trying to drain it, you can just basically open up the spigot, and then you have to just like lean it over to make sure all the water comes out. It's pretty annoying because there's always some water that's just at the very bottom. So at least with the 500 series, you can just tilt the whole thing over and the water will spill out. It's pretty annoying in the 400 series. There's this little lip. So when you have that extra residue water, you basically tilt it over, but it just gets stuck under the lip. So it's impossible to take any of the water out. You have to go in and like use a towel. It's nice that you don't have to worry about that again, but it's still not the most efficient setup. Also, if you do want to make sure that the black color stays crisp and pristine, and it is going to be outside, just make sure it's not always in the direct sunlight or you're using your cover. There is a UV protection on it, but they do say that over time it is going to fade if that is the case. When it comes to the warranty, it's a little misleading. It says limited lifetime warranty. What does that mean? If it's a lifetime, I expect it's going to last the rest of my life and it's covered for the rest of my life. When you go into the fine print, it's only 3 years. So I don't understand why they're just saying 3-year warranty. That would be a lot clearer. But when you actually go in, basically, if there's going to be an issue that's not from use itself, they're just going to send you a replacement part, or they're going to send you a complete new unit. So the Ice Barrel 500 is going to run you $2,499. And if you use discount code Mike, you can save some additional money. And oftentimes they're running promotions on the website, so just stay tuned for those as well. So the Ice Barrel 500 is really for someone that wants something that basically feels indestructible. It is going to probably last for a very long time. It's very robust. It's more of a permanent solution that you can have indoor or outdoor, and you don't really have to worry about it. Because it's insulated, it's gonna keep your water cool. So if you're using ice or a chiller, it's gonna be more efficient, so it's less of a hassle. And again, it's chiller ready. So if you wanna start off with ice and then upgrade to that over time, you can without needing to DIY stuff, drill holes, and need to worry about that stuff. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you do wanna grab one, there's a link down below with the discount code. All right, I'll see you later. Have a lovely one. Bye-bye.